Where will they go? Where will they go? We don't necessarily know, but all I know is that the NBA trade deadline is just 2 days away. And on today's episode of Inside the Zone with Mateo, we are taking a look at the final trade speculations because, boys, in less than 72 hours, in less than 48 hours, the trade deadline will come to a start, and that means you cannot make any more trades. Will the Timberwolves trade for Giannis? Will Ja Morant get traded? We're going to unpack it all coming up next here on Inside the Zone with Mateo. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. And let's roll this intro and let's get underway. That is right, everybody. Welcome back to Inside the Zone with Mateo. And yes, it is our trade deadline preview show. We're talking all things NBA because, as I said in the intro, the NBA trade deadline is just 2 days away when I'm recording this video. It is February 3rd, 2026, and the trade deadline is on the 5th of 2026. As a reminder, we will be live. We will be live on the trade deadline. This is what the thumbnail looks like. It is out on my YouTube channel right now. So go ahead and turn notifications on so you don't miss that. But we will be live for about 2 hours towards the end of the trade deadline. I believe the trade deadline is at 3 o'clock Eastern. So I believe like 1:30 Eastern to 3:30 Eastern is when we're going to be live. And then I'll have to do my weekly NFL episode. But a lot of things to do here on the channel for this week because of the trade deadline. And, we're just really talking. We're really talking all things NBA. And I don't think it's really, you're not really confused. So let's just get straight to the point. Inside the Wolves is what we call our NBA episodes. As a Minnesota fan, I just like to talk about my teams. The Wolves are my basketball team here in Minnesota, and we just call this show Inside the Wolves. It's, just kind of, since we will be talking about the Wolves, I do think this is not generally exactly about the Wolves. It's more NBA general, but we're gonna keep it in the Inside the Wolves little category here. But it is Inside the Zone with Mateo. It's season 2, episode 13. Trade deadline prep. I'm just kind of rambling. I'm yapping. Let's just get straight into it, boys. And Mateo's show batting order presented by To Be Determined. If you don't know what this is, well, I use it every single episode. And it's basically just a show order with a little sports twist. And if you like to sponsor this segment, I use it every single episode. Let me know. Send me an email. Send me a DM on X, and we can get you all set up for that. But there are 3 things on the batting order today. First thing, standing update. We're going to take a look at where things stand as of the time I'm recording this video. And believe me, it's pretty much the same, but we're gonna look at it just for a little context, okay? But the main thing, the 2 and 3 things we're gonna talk about here. We're gonna talk about what trades have happened before I have recorded this. And by the way, there's been 2 trades that's happened today. Jaren Jackson Jr. got traded. Mike Conley got traded. So we will be talking about those, as well as the Trae Young trade that happened a couple weeks ago. And then some other trades that happened over the weekend with the Cavs and the Bulls and stuff. So we'll talk about that. But then also, we will speculate. We'll go to trade machines. We'll figure stuff out. And we'll take a look at the players still out there who are being projected to be traded and where will they go here within, 48 hours of the trade deadline. So without further ado, it's our NBA standings update. Here we're going to start in the Eastern Conference playoff spots. The kind of main things here, the Pistons continue to lead the Eastern Conference at 36-12. But then only 5.5 games back are the Knicks, who have started to win games again. But then also the Celtics without Tatum are still cooking, as they're tied with the Knicks for the second best record in the Eastern Conference. But everyone else is playing pretty mid. The Raptors are 30-21. The Cavs are 30-21. The 76ers are 28-21. And then in the play-in spot, you got the Heat, Magic, Bulls, and Hawks. And the Bulls and Hawks have been making some moves already. I'm going to be very interested to see if they're done with the moves that they made, or are they going to make another move. And then in the bottom of the Eastern Conference, this is the weakest teams ever here. You got the Hornets, who, and Loki kind of been balling recently. You got the Bucks with Giannis. You got the Nets, the Wizards, and the Pacers, who all have 13 wins on the season. The Pacers have 37 losses, and then the Nets and the Wizards have 35, both, 23 to 24 games back of, the number one seed, but just in general, 10, 11 games back of a play-in spot. And it's just not looking good for any of these teams, but we can talk about, will they make some trades? And, Milwaukee probably going to be moving on from Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these teams, do they sell? Do they buy? What do they do here at the trade deadline? But then, as it is a Minnesota sports show, the Timberwolves, they're a couple games back. They're 8.5 games back. I forgot to keep that 8.5 slot in. Okay, OKC is still number one at a record 39-11. Who, by the way, the Minnesota Timberwolves have beaten twice now. They've beaten them twice. After that great, blowout win over the Thunder, that was really nice to see. The top six are still, they still look like locks. I've been saying this really from the start of the season. I think the Thunder, Spurs, Nuggets, Rockets, Timberwolves, and Lakers are going to be your top six in the West. I mean, I do think the trade deadline could affect some of those things, especially if a team like the Warriors were to land like a Giannis. Then I could see maybe the Lakers falling out and playing in a play-in. But for the most part, you see these top five teams. I think the Lakers are the only kind of flaky team that could maybe jump down to a play-in spot. But overall, I really do think all these teams are going to be in the top six. I just don't know where they're going to be, stacked, where they're going to be ranked at the end of the season. And as I said, that's way too close to call. But then you got the Suns, the Warriors, the Clippers, and the Blazers currently in your play-in spots. And then a look at the bottom of the Western Conference. Well, there you got the Grizzlies, who traded away Triple J just this morning. In fact, here. The Dallas Mavericks, will they move on from Anthony Davis? The Utah Jazz just landed, I believe, Jaren Jackson, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm not messing up. No, the Jazz do make the major swing for Jaren Jackson. We'll see what they can do. As a 15-win team, they're probably not going to make the playoffs, but as you can see, hey, the Trailblazers, the Clippers, both at 23 wins. I mean, that's not too far away, especially, Jaren Jackson is a very talented player and an elite player, but, they're definitely rebuilding for sure. And then you got the Pels and the Kings. And the Kings have Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan. We're going to talk about them coming up towards the end of the show, but we will talk about that a lot. I don't really know what the Pelicans are going to do. I think they just got to try to just make it to the offseason, and then that's when they can figure out what to do. But that's kind of the state of the NBA. But here we go. The trades that have happened before the trade deadline here in the NBA. Here's a list of the trades that have happened. There's only been 5 trades that have happened in 2026, in the 2026 season. It started off on January 7th, so that was about a month ago, with the Hawks and the Wizards, and that is where we're going to start. January 7th, the Hawks sent Trae Young to the Washington Wizards for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. No picks were in there at all. It was just a player for 2 players, for salary wise. Hawks have looked okay with Kispert and McCollum. Trae Young, hasn't really, I don't even know if he's technically played a game or, enough minutes to count as a start with the Wizards. And it's just really too early to see, what's going on with that team. I do think, if Trae Young actually just went for 2 players and one expiring contract in CJ McCollum, and then they got Corey Kispert, what's the value of some of these people on the market? I do think it's higher than Trae Young. I think a lot of people, were not as sold on Trae Young as they are on some other players. So I feel like, you're not going to see as many first-round picks. But it's a weird thing here when Desmond Bane then goes for 5 firsts a couple years ago. So it's the NBA, I do think, has the weirdest trade value on players. some players can go for 5 first, some can just go for 2 players, an expiring contract, whatever, something like that. So it's going to be really interesting to see um, as we move on towards the trade deadline what these trade values for these players are. What's a trade value for Giannis, who I'm pretty sure is going to get moved? I don't know exactly where he's going to get moved, but I do think he's going to get moved. I know they keep saying, "Oh, it's going to happen in the offseason." No, I think he's going to get traded here. I think he's done. I don't think I can personally watch Giannis in a Milwaukee Bucks uniform anymore. I don't think he can stand playing in the Milwaukee Bucks organization anymore. So I think they'll get a deal done. I'm going to be interested to see what is this trade value for arguably a top 5 player in the league right now, arguably a top 10 player in NBA history. So it's going to be really interesting to see what might happen there. But I'm not going to talk about that. I did a full episode on the Trae Young stuff. I think multiple episodes on the Trae Young stuff. So we're going to get to these trades that, I was actually away. I was away on a retreat of some kind, and I missed these 2 trades. The Cavs, Kings, and Bulls 3-team trade, and then I missed the Trailblazers and Hawks trade. So I will get you talk a little bit about this. I didn't make any shorts or anything. So here on January 31st, the Cleveland Cavaliers add a couple of these guards, Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis, 2 young, talented guards that I actually kind of wanted the Minnesota Timberwolves to get, so that just kind of sucks. But I think the big name here is DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter, I believe, small forward for the Cleveland Cavs, gets traded to the Kings. And then in this trade as well, the Bulls get 2 future second-round picks and Dario Saric. And I just think this is a very, just a weird trade in general. Kind of, I'm going to talk about this kind of with the Wolves as well. The Bulls in this trade, the Wolves in their trade, their first trade with the Bulls and Pistons, I don't totally know how they benefit. I mean, at least like the Bulls got Saric, who I do think that's good for their front court. But it's like, I don't totally know what you guys got for this. But I think the main thing is the Cavs and the Kings. I think the Bulls are just in there for salary purposes and stuff like that. However, Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis go to the Cavs for DeAndre Hunter, which is very interesting because you think about the Cleveland Cavaliers guard play, and you have Darius Garland, who hasn't been the same, this year, but he's still a very good point guard. And then you got Donovan Mitchell, the Speeda, who is a very, very, very good shooting guard in the league. And they have some pretty good players off the bench as well. And however, this is where it comes into play. There was some stuff coming out these last couple of days that the Cavaliers are not totally sure that the Donovan Mitchell thing is going to work out. I'm from what I can understand, they're worried that he's not going to re-sign. So, Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis can replace them. And I don't think Darius Garland is going to be on this team for much longer. I think they're kind of done with him, so they need a replacement. So you can think about it. If they, this is just kind of a backup plan in case those 2 guys don't, fit into their plan long term. And I think it was a really smart move from the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Kings get DeAndre Hunter, a young forward. I think this fits their timeline. Now I just want to see them trade Domantas Sabonis and DeMar DeRozan, because now you're saying, okay, we're going to go to the young, we're going to the youth, get the old guys out of here, get the stars out of there, and build around with draft picks or just young prospects. But I really like this for Kings and Cavs. As I said, I'm kind of a little confused with the Bulls side of this thing, but it is what it is. And that's the first major trade that we had since the Trae Young trade. And then we got the February 1st trade, just the day after. I think it was actually in the morning after. The Trailblazers acquired Vit Kricic. I do not know how to pronounce his name. I am sorry. I do know who he is. I've been semi-impressed with him. But then the Hawks, in return, get Dupe Reith and 2 future second-round picks. It's kind of a young kind of trade here. I like this more for the Blazers than the Hawks, but I understand why the Hawks did it. They have a lot of guards, and they need some more bigs, and I do think Porzingis, a free agent, could be, traded. I think just some of their bigs that could get traded, so now you have a younger option here in Reith, and then the the Blazers get another guard to play alongside Shaedon Sharpe, and if Damian Lillard comes back next season, then you have just somebody who can play out the bench who's pretty good. Overall, I don't really have many takes off of this, but I do have some takes about the trade that happened this morning. Jaren Jackson Jr., Triple J, goes to the Utah Jazz, and I'm just gonna pull up Shem's report because there has been multiple trade people in this deal. I'm sorry, I was getting sidetracked. But there we go. Here we go. I'm gonna mute this. Dude, I don't know. Sometimes some of these GIFs are annoying. But this happened this morning. Sorry about that. Breaking: the Memphis Grizzlies are trading star forward Jaren Jackson Jr. and then also John Konchar, Jock Landale, and Vince Williams Jr. to the Utah Jazz for Walter Claxton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, George Niang, and 3 first-round picks. I just want to say, wow. I mean, when I saw this, I was like, what the heck? Like, this was not on my radar. I thought they were going to keep Triple J and trade Ja. But now, even if they trade both of them, that's crazy. But if now they keep Ja over Triple J, that's, I think, a little more crazy. Because I think I like Triple J as a basketball player better than Ja Morant. He's definitely more likable. I mean, the Timberwolves just played the Grizzlies twice. I mean, we split it, but Jaren Jackson was fun to watch when the games he played and the minutes he played. But I do want to say, hey, respect to the Utah Jazz. They needed this. So now, when you think about it, I do think Shems does report something like this. Yeah, right here. The Jazz making a major swing for Jaren Jackson Jr. and now team him up with Lauri Markkanen. Oh, boys, we got another one. We got another trade, boys. Oh, my gosh. We got another trade. Do I stop? Do I stop and just continue talking about this one? Or do we... Yeah, okay. There's another trade. You've probably seen it because this is obviously not live. I'm recording this, but as the time I'm recording this, I just got the alert. There's been another trade involving the Chicago Bulls and the Boston Celtics. A very interesting trade. We'll get to it in a second, but let's continue reading this little thing here from Shems, because I want to finish this thought. That the Jazz make a major swing for Jackson and now team him up with Lauri Markkanen, Keontae George, Walker Kessler, and more. This move signals a full rebuild for the Grizzlies around its promising youth core, yes, for sure, and now has many future first-round picks as any team in the NBA. So, overall, dude, I'm just thinking of that other trade right now. The Memphis Grizzlies, by trading Triple J, say, okay, we're done with you, and we're going to hand the reins over to Zach Edey and all these young guys. Now I really think Ja Morant's got to be gone, right? I mean, he has to, I think. I think there's no other way that they trade him if they don't trade Ja as well. I think this is absolutely crazy. And as Sham says, signaling a huge rebuild, a full rebuild for the Grizzlies. But then for the Jazz, like, this lineup, Keontae George, Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, and Triple J, it's a big lineup, but it's a good lineup. And they have multiple, like, other young guys in their lineup, too. I'm really excited for this. They didn't really give up much. I mean, they gave up, like, Walter Claxton Jr., but then a bunch of expiring deals and 3 future first-round picks, which is, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of low-key crazy, and I really like this trade for both teams. But I do think, Grizzlies, now you have to trade Ja Morant, so then there's maybe a little pressure there for you. But overall, I mean, I really like this trade. But guys, I can't get the trade out of my mind because there was a major trade, which I'm going to refresh. There we go. Here we go, guys. You saw it. Breaking: the Chicago Bulls are trading center Nikola Vucevic and a second-round pick to the Boston Celtics for Anthony Simons and a second-round pick. Come on, boys. Come on. Dude, I absolutely love this. And um and I'm not going to and I don't just love this because it's a great trade for both teams. Because it shows you that I'm pretty sure Colby White is going to be traded now as well. Nikola Vucevic, older, talented center, but is perfect for the Boston Celtics who need a center. I mean, their starting center was Luka Garza really right now. But now he's going to be a starting center for you. And now Luka Garza, he's been playing great. But now you get a Luka Garza who can come off the bench and play probably 6th or 7th man minutes. He can probably take Simon's minutes off. And then also for the Bulls here, Simons gets to play in a young, fun team over there in Chicago. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this mixes. But now you also think Josh Giddey, Colby White, both of those guys are guards. Where is Simons going to be? It's going to be really interesting to see here. But I do think this means that Colby White will be traded. But yeah, that was breaking. That was breaking here as we're trying to film this episode. But I really like it for sure. So let's go back over here. And so yeah, we were talking about Triple J. But now we can talk about the Wolves trade with the Bulls and the Pistons. So we can continue talking about the Bulls as well, as I will read this trade from Shems again, the trade details in a second. So yes, here it is, just in. This was from this morning as well. Actually, it was this afternoon. Chicago, Minnesota, Detroit. All three of those teams have agreed to a multi-team deal that sends Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley to the Bulls. So then you think about here, this is also, the Bulls are making tons of moves, and this was expected as well. This was totally expected. But now you'd think they get Jaden Ivey, another good guard, and then they just get Simons just a minute ago. What are they doing? They're building up a young group. It's going to be interesting to see now. I think this for sure clarifies that it looks like Colby White will be done. He's going to be dealt, so I don't know where he's going to be. Is it going to be the Timberwolves? Is it going to be, who knows? The Heat. But they also get Mike Conley in this deal. And then Kevin Huerter and then Dario Saric goes to the Pistons. So again, another Sarge getting traded there. Detroit will also receive a 2026 first round protected swap from Minnesota. So Minnesota doesn't really get anything. I'm super kind of confused here. Yeah, right here. Alan Lem right here says, me trying to figure out what Minnesota got out of this deal. Wait, am I the only one not understanding what Minnesota will gain from this deal? Because yeah, it's just I'm not totally, totally sure exactly why this works for Minnesota, except you get rid of Conley, who had been, yeah, for sure hurting your team performances. He hasn't even really been playing. But then also I do also think what Shems points out here is very interesting. It's very interesting. He said the Bulls and Pistons have desires met here in a young and veteran guards to Chicago, and a sharpshooter goes to Detroit. Minnesota creates significant tax saving and roster space as they pursue a Milwaukee star this week. Are you kidding, Shems? He knows something. He knows something, you guys. So, you in the weird trade here, Tim Conley says, okay, yeah, we'll give you Mike Conley, and, we'll even throw you a first-round pick. It's not, I don't think it's actually their first-round pick. It's like a Spurs protected pick swap or something. So it's not even their first-round pick. They'll say, we'll give you guys those just to help all the salaries match and all that stuff. And you say, well, why do you do that? Like, because Mike Conley's important to this team. So it's like, if you're just going to trade him for nothing, keep him. But no, our little guy Shems says, hey, well, they create significant tax saving because Conley was making over $11 million a year. He was an expiring contract, which is good. But it also opens up one roster space. And then he says he just decides to drop this as they pursue a Milwaukee star this week. Like, if y'all don't think Giannis is coming here, I don't know. I don't know what this means because he would not say this if it wasn't close. I am pretty sure Minnesota will be trading for Giannis. Let's take a look here at what the some players have to say here. The suspense has me going at work. Yeah. The Milwaukee Star. Okay, don't say that. That they're not gonna get that. Milwaukee Star. Wait, so they got rid of their only point guard for nothing else, so they hope they get Giannis. This is probably an insane Bobby Portis glaze. Yeah. But a Milwaukee Star. I mean, come on, people. Like now, why would Minnesota clears cap space? Giannis, bro. They're getting Giannis. I mean, this is like the only legit reason they did this trade. They wouldn't trade for him away, I believe, if they didn't if Giannis wasn't at the table because they truly love Mike Conley. They love him so much over here in Minnesota. And that's going to hurt locker room chemistry a little bit, but overall, I mean, the big story is you're clearing that cap space. Shems decides to tweet that. But then also Jordan Ivey. I mean, sorry, that's not Jordan Ivey, is it? That's dude. I'm sorry. What's going on today? Um, Jaden. Jaden Ivey goes to the Bulls. Kevin Huerter is a good forward. I think the Pistons needed that. They needed a wing player, so that fits them good. But so far, I mean, all these trades have really worked out. I think, or on paper, it seems like they're gonna work out. And bro, I mean, I as soon as I saw Shem say this, I mean, I shared the screen already, but let's just go back over here. Minnesota creates significant tax savings and a roster space as they pursue a Milwaukee Star this week. Which, boys, I would not be surprised if we get the news today, tomorrow, or even the trade deadline that Minnesota will be getting Giannis, bro. Like, the stars are aligning, if you will, that they trade. This is just the first part. This is the first part. We might even see a second part. We might even see a TJ Shannon and a second round pick be traded for Colby White. We might even see that happen. And then all the stars will align. Okay, so they got their point guard, but now what do they need? Well, maybe people could argue they don't need anything, but then they go boom, and then they get Giannis. I mean, the stars are aligning quickly. Minnesota Timberwolves fans, what do we think of this? And then Bulls and Pistons fans, I think you guys should be really happy with the players that you got. But now this goes into speculation. It goes perfect. It transitions right into trade speculation here. The players still available. Here's a list of a bunch of players still available that people have believed that might be traded. Giannis, James Harden, John Morant, Anthony Davis, Colby White, Nikola Vucevic. Hey, he just got traded, so we don't have to talk about that. Sabonis, DeRozan, Karl-Anthony Towns, MPJ, Jonathan Kuminga, maybe Jimmy Butler. I'm gonna only mock and speculate trades with Giannis, James Harden, John Morant, Anthony Davis, and Colby White, I think. But we might throw in some other players as well. But dude, we were just talking about Giannis. Let's get to Giannis. Let's get to the trade speculations. Really the teams that have come out as favorites of actually offering trades have been the Wolves, the Warriors, and the Heat. So those are the three teams we're going to take a look at. I do want to reload Fanspo because that's the most accurate trade machine, I believe. And I don't know, however, if Mike Conley got traded here in this, so we might have to work with that for a little bit. I do want to see. I think he's still a member of this team right now. Yes, he is. Okay. So he's still a member of this team. So we might just have to send him out. Since the Bucks, we're just gonna say he goes to the Bucks. The Bucks aren't actually, in any bad salary cap space right now. It's just to get this to work. So obviously Giannis Antetokounmpo would come over here. And so these are the numbers. When you send Conley out, you're only $40 million. you're only 40 million away. So you throw in Julius Randle, you are only 9 million away, which means theoretically you don't even have to get rid of like a Nas or a Jaden to make it work financially. Now, I think to make this work, like literally, you're gonna have to do it. But let's throw in Rob Dillingham. Let's throw Rob Dillingham in. So right now it's Julius Randle and Rob Dillingham for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I do think you have like this 2026 swap is what they traded away. I think you add in your 2028. You add in your 2028 first round pick. You don't need this first round pick. And then this is where it gets interesting. I do think they value Jaden a lot more. So I think Giannis has to go into this trade. This would work. This would work. Randall Dillingham, Reed in a first for Giannis Antetokounmpo would work. However, I wanted to see, could, Miles Turner get thrown into this deal? Sure. Could Bobby Portis get turned into this deal? For sure. So let's actually throw in Bobby Portis into this. This actually wouldn't work for so I think it would maybe let's just get like Thanasis or something. Let's throw in Thanasis here, get another Antetokounmpo into the mix here, try this trade, and it should work. What does it not work? Minnesota consecutive draft. Oh, we can't trade the 2028 pick. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. That's all right. 28 undo trade. So we could do the 2020. Dude, we don't really have any picks. That's insane. Let's just do like the 2032 first round pick or something like that. So then we should be able to try this trade, and it should. Why does it not go? Dude, it's all okay. Let's just not add any picks. Let's not add any picks. Let's just go. Let's try this trade here. And there it would work. It would work. And so actually, technically, Rob Dillingham wouldn't be in this trade, but it would be Julius Randle, Naz Reid, and Rob Dillingham for Thanasis and Giannis. Do I think this is enough? In theory, it should be, but I don't know. I think you add in second round picks, of course, and maybe even you add in a third team. And let's do that. Let's add a third team here who I think rerouting Randle would be dude. Rerouting Randle would be the good thing to do here. The smart thing to do if you wanted to try to give up less. And I'm just trying to think of some teams that would want Julius Randle. Like I would have thought originally, like maybe the Jazz, but now they have Triple J. The Hawks, I don't think so. I think the Bulls have been making too many moves now. I don't think we could trade. No, maybe not. Maybe we have to do just a 1-1 trade here. I don't know if we can add in a third team because all these third teams now since we know more, like they're not going to totally want to trade. So let's actually get rid of the Minnesota Timberwolves. That was kind of the trade for the Timberwolves. For the Warriors, though, this is where it gets interesting because this is actually really, really easy to make a move here because it would be Giannis, it would be Butler, and that would match 1-for-1. It would literally match 1-for-1. However, they have stated that they wish to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo. So they wish to keep Jimmy Butler. Imagine a trio of Curry, Antetokounmpo, and Butler. That would be kind of insane next year because obviously Jimmy Butler is injured. I think you would obviously have to include Draymond in this trade. You would have to include Kuminga. However, then you would still need to add one more player. So, I mean, this is really actually easy. Probably Podziemski, in my opinion. You would add Podziemski to this trade. You'd maybe even add probably a 2026 first rounder because they have picks. Add that 2026. You have to actually add another player. So like a Quinton Post, a Will Richard, a Seth Curry. He's just, he's expiring. Actually, you can't do Seth Curry, I guess. I think let's keep the Currys together and then put like a Will Richard maybe or Quinton Post. It would be somebody like that. Or here, Gary Payton. Gary Payton that should work. Try trade. And see, this would go through. So you could get rid of like Draymond, Kuminga, Podziemski, Payton, and a first round pick for Giannis. You could probably add in another first round pick at some point too. And get Giannis. I feel like that's the easiest. Not the easiest. I think that's what people have been wanting. However, I do think if they were to trade for Giannis, Jimmy Butler would get traded. I really do think Jimmy Butler would get traded. Their salaries match too perfectly that, for them not to do that. However, Jimmy Butler is only on their contract for one more year after this year. Giannis is two. So I do think you probably throw in maybe a Jonathan Kuminga into this trade, and then you get back, something not totally insane, but just to make this money work, like a Kevin Porter Jr. Like a Kevin Porter Jr. you throw in here. I think that's interesting. And then I do think you would have to add in a first of some kind, a first round here, a first round here. So 2 first round picks. There's one swap in there. You try this trade, and it gets failed by just a couple. It's money. They're just over a little bit. I don't know. You could just do Butler and a bunch of firsts, or Butler and less of good players, but I do think Kuminga is going to get traded. So the Warriors, they have a lot of interesting options here to trade for Giannis. And then finally, I think the last team that really is interested in Giannis is the Miami Heat. And for this, I feel like Terry Rozier would have to be in this trade. So would Andrew Wiggins. And then that would actually work financially. So then you probably throw in a first round pick of your own here in 2026, and it's a success. So it's really easy for the Heat to get them. And then you play Bam, Tyler Hero, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. So it's easy. They're, pretty much Terry is an expiring deal. You got a first round pick. And then also Andrew Wiggins has 1 year on his deal after this year, so about a year and a half. And you get Giannis. I do think it would be multiple first round picks for Giannis, but that's what my 3 biggest trades are. I think the Timberwolves do still pull it up somehow. I think they're gonna get it. I really do think they're gonna get him. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but Shams is leaking things. I mean, he wants to play here. It just all seems like it's gonna all connect. The stars are going to align, as I said. I just think that's gonna happen. So that is what I think about all these Giannis trade ideas. But then we had an interesting story. We had an interesting story develop this morning. It was very early this morning. It was like 5 a.m. that James Harden and the LA Clippers with the Cleveland Cavaliers have been working on a trade. It might not happen, Shems has said, but it could very well happen. So we're going to take a look here. And I do think this is a very interesting trade. It's just really interesting. It is really interesting to see here these teams, because it would be James Harden going out. He has about a year and a half left on his contract. But then also, guess whose salary matches perfectly? Darius Garland. Darius Garland literally matches his salary almost perfectly. Almost perfectly. And I do think you would have to give up someone else, like a Jalen Tyson, a Greg Porter Jr. I actually like that. I actually really like that. I don't know if this works because these teams hard cap. It's over the hard cap, so therefore the trade is remove of the incoming trade value. Yeah, they're taking in too much money, and this is where it does make things interesting. And I mean, it's like 0.3 million difference, but it matches almost perfectly. So I do think they could make this work. And then Darius with Kawhi would actually be kind of funny. Um, However, team is hard capped at the first apron. The Cleveland Cavaliers, I do think probably need to get rid of money. But we have to look here. So 12 million in second apron. So it can't be any of these. It would have to be like Alonzo Ball. Would this maybe work? I'm just trying to find some salaries that would work together. Remove 9 million of the income. Okay, so they need somebody with $1 million here. An expiring deal is probably what they would need. Luke Travers is I mean, Proctor, would this work? I mean, it's just really it's gonna be hard. I think you would probably add in a third team on this trade. Why did I hit that? I need to hit add third team. I think a third team could be someone like the Magic, could be someone like the Hornets, someone like the Heat. Probably actually would be the Heat. It would probably be the Heat. Let's try the Heat. Um, who have decent amount of money, but also like the Nets. The Nets, I wouldn't be opposed to helping them here. They have tons of money. Um, we need someone pretty cheap here, and that's just going to be the hard thing here. But I think a three-team trade would probably be what would need to go down for this to work financially because both of these teams are hard capped. So it's going to be interesting to see, what they do. I do think you could. I don't. Oh wait, is so they're starting to actually affect this. They are trying to change it because what's his name? What's his name? Dang it. What's his name? The guy they just traded. Why am I blanking? I'm completely blanking on his name, and I've been looking at their names all day. What the heck? Who did they this weekend? Hunter. They are updating this, so they'll probably get it updated, especially by the trade deadline. But yeah, it's really interesting to see. I'm excited because this news just kind of broke out in the middle of nowhere, and I was interesting. Here's the full story from Shems. If it will ever load. Yes, the LA Clippers and 11-time All-Star James Harden are working through whether the sides can find a deal by Thursday's NBA trade deadline. Both sides are aligned in conversations together and with interested teams. How and then the thing that was known was that the Clippers that he is very interested in going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And there you go. He just posted this. Shems did. There's that new center. The Boston Celtics land their new center at this week's trade deadline. He got the Photoshop in. I love this. I love this. Yeah, it's a great trade for the Boston Celtics. They needed a center. They got themselves a center. Here towards the trade deadline. And now, of course, everything seems to not be loading as I'm trying to get back to my PowerPoint presentation. But it is what it is. What's what do you guys think what's gonna happen? I think a lot of different things could happen for sure. So I'm really interested to see what y'all have been thinking. I'm trying to hold on. I'm trying to. I'm having a little technical difficulties. I'm sorry. Technical difficulties. But we're all good. We're all good. We're back. We got this. We got this all figured out. So that was a little bit of James Harden speculation. We got Ja Morant next here. To be honest, I don't quite know where Ja Morant's gonna go now that Jaren Jackson's been traded. Like originally, I had thought like the Heat could be a team that I might be interested in being in the conversation for Ja Morant. So actually, we could pull them up here. The Grizzlies. Do they have all this Jaren Jackson stuff sorted out already? Yes, they did. They are locking in for us. Thank you, Vanspo. So they have tons of salary cap here. They have some tax space. And this would be Ja Morant getting traded to the Heat. And I do think this is again pretty possible. If they don't get Giannis, I think they can do the same, pretty much same package. Terry Rozier, and then actually, would that work financially? No. Okay, they would just need that 5 extra million for that first apron, which is like you wouldn't even have to get rid of Andrew Wiggins. I think probably Davion Mitchell would probably be the odd man out here, and then probably a pick. That's my guess is a pick here, but I don't know if they can trade this pick with the Steven rule. No, they can. So like John Morant, I think Terry Rozier, Davion Mitchell, and a first round pick, that would probably be what it would be. I do think John Morant's trade value is pretty much the same as Trae Young. So, going off of that, I think that's an easy trade to do. And then I'm thinking of some other teams that need a point guard besides the Timberwolves, because I don't think the Timberwolves are going to land Ja. I don't want really Ja on my team. The Pacers. The Pacers could be interesting. Not gonna lie. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton is their point guard, though. I thought he was a shooting guard for some reason. I thought Tyrese was a shooting guard. I mean, the Rockets. They need a point guard. Fred VanVleet has been injured, and I think you could consider, trading VanVleet for Ja. I really think. I mean, finding this money is actually not that hard. Jabari Smith you could add in. Reed Shepherd I mean, Tari Eason too is an expiring deal. I think you could do that. I mean, this team you don't want to mess up too many things, but I really do think. I mean, they don't even have a first here, so that's interesting. A Phoenix, no protection there, and then a 2030 or 2031. Let's do a 2031 first round pick. Let's just try this to see. Yeah, it's failed. I think you need, $7 more million here to make this work. But it shows that like you could add it. But Steven Adams, hold on, never mind. I almost did that, but no, I just remembered he got hurt and he's done for the year. I think you would have to do Dorian Finney-Smith or Jabari Smith. So let's do Dorian Finney-Smith. He's older. Let's give the older option here, and then let's actually keep Tari Eason, and then throw in like a young Josh Okogie, expiring contract, 30 years old. Try trade here, and this would be accepted. So Ja could go to the Rockets for VanVleet, who's under contract for another year after this. Dorian Finney-Smith, Josh Okogie, and 2 first-round picks. I think that would be even a little too much for Ja Morant. So I think that could be interesting for Ja. And then when we go, just again looking at some Western Conference teams, would they really need a point guard here? I just don't think so. I mean, the Trailblazers, I just don't think they would want to trade Damian Lillard, and he also has a no trade clause, so that makes it hard. The Kings, I mean, this kind of, like John Morant going to the Kings, I wouldn't hate this. And I believe you could do this. I think they need to just get off Zach LaVine's contract, low key. Could you do a 1-for-1 swap? Yeah, you could. You could just do a LaVine for John Morant swap. Like that, I think could fit a lot of problems here. And then pair DeAndre Hunter with John Morant and then Malik Monk too in there. And then Keegan Murray. And then maybe you keep Sabonis. And low key, think about this. John Morant. Hold on. Just hear me out. John Morant, Malik Monk, DeAndre Hunter, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis as your starting 5 going into for next season, and then you dump DeMar DeRozan for somebody off the bench. And then Zach LaVine is, he's 30 years old. Sure, he's a little older than Ja, but then, I mean, I know like KCP's there, so like maybe you try to get a first just because LaVine's older, so I don't think you give up any of these picks, but like maybe a 2028 first round pick and then like a 2026 second and a 2027 second round pick. Try this trade. It would be a success. Like, and the Kings, keep money too. I think this could be actually low key. This might be my favorite trade. And I just came up with this one on the stop. Some of the trades that I put into these machines, I come up ahead of time, and I was just working on the crap because I think this DeAndre Hunter trade really then impacts that. Morant, just again, hear me out. Morant, Monk, Hunter, Murray, and Sabonis, and then you could even keep DeMar DeRozan if you wanted to. Have him be your 6th man. Devin Carter, Nick Clifford, Doug McDermott, Drew Eubanks. The Brody's still playing. I mean, he'll probably get, he might even retire. I think that could work. I low-key think that could work, and that is some Ja Morant trade speculations. Again, actually, hold on. Y'all probably want to see, well, what if the Timberwolves? What if the Timberwolves could, make a move for Ja Morant? They need a point guard. To that, I say I don't want Ja Morant, but if they were to get Ja Morant, it'd probably be a Julius Randle swap here than having, Naz Reid go into the starting lineup. And then again, Mike Conley actually isn't, on this team anymore. They haven't added that. So Conley should actually be gone. So right now, if would that work just straight up Randall and Morant? No, it would not. So you would just need a 6. I think it would probably be Dillingham. I low-key think, yeah, Dillingham, Randall, and there you go. That would probably go through. Dillingham and Randall for Ja Morant is actually fail. Why? Recently traded is combined. Michael cannot be traded because the team. Oh, they've not passed the trade. Yeah. Okay, let's just. But I do think that would work. They're starting to add in Mike Conley to these trades. But I think that would work, as you can see, then with this first apron space. So, it would be a Randall Dillingham. Maybe you can even get a first-round pick out of that. I'd probably like that. Something like that if you wanted the Timberwolves to land Ja Morant. Yeah, I think it could work, but I just don't really like it. Anthony Davis, I don't think I'm gonna do any Anthony Davis trade speculations just because I don't think he's gonna get traded. People keep saying, "Oh, he's gonna get traded," but his face that's what it's gonna be like if he gets traded. I'm gonna make that face if Anthony Davis gets traded. I just don't think anybody is gonna take the chance on him. To be healthy by the playoffs. I do think we see probably some notices, some credible sources reporting that Anthony Davis, will probably get some offers, but I just don't think the Dallas Mavericks do it. I don't think the Dallas Mavericks do it. They just traded him for Luka Doncic. I don't know why we did that, but they did that. And I think you got to wait till the offseason if you trade Anthony Davis. Kind of the final one I'm gonna kind of go to fanspo for is Colby White because of course we're gonna tie it all back to the Minnesota Timberwolves here. As we just said, they need a point guard, and sure they do. And actually, in fact, just to make this all seem interesting, we're gonna actually create a 3-team trade with the Minnesota Timberwolves getting Giannis, with the Minnesota Timberwolves getting Colby White, who's an expiring contract. In this, Rob Dillingham would probably then go to the Bucks, as we said. Julius Randle would go to the Bucks, and then who else did we have in this trade? Oh, I think that would be it. Oh no, and then Naz Reid. Naz Reid would go to the Bucks as well. And then for the Bulls, they want Shannon. They desperately want Terrence Shannon, and I think it would work financially. Right? No, we just need 3 million. 3 more million. Wait, but Mike Conley has been traded. Hold up. Where's Conley? Where's Conley at? What the heck? Did they actually make it go through? Oh no, there he is. Yeah. Okay, so let's just put him at the Bulls because the Bulls have money. But then you just need 4 million to go to the Bulls. But what if we have Bulls, since we're giving you the player that we want, we'll actually give you a first round pick here in 2028. We'll give you this first round pick for the Bulls, and then you just you have some players here that you just decide, okay, we'll put some money away to give him to the Bucks or something, right? A player like this. And would this trade go down? This trade would be failed because it's okay. Nope, perfect. That is exactly. But it works for everybody else. Perfect. All right, that is exactly what I wanted. So now we can do it. We can do it. So we can take this out. We can take this out. Oh, wait, there. Boom. Mike Conley just got moved. Thank you. Mike Conley just got moved over to the Chicago Bulls. Perfect. That makes everything so much better. So now we just need actually 3. Why is he on both? Why is he on both? You guys got to remove. Hold on. Let's reload the website. I'm sorry. Dude, what is going on? Let's wipe it out. Let's wipe it out because I think they're right now. I think they're moving Mike Conley. Yep, they just moved Mike Conley. They just moved Mike Conley. Perfect. Thank you. This is exactly what we needed. So if we take a look at the Bulls, they should have Mike Conley. Yes, they do. Thank you very much. So now we can add in the Bucks. We can add in the Timberwolves. And then we should be able to do it. Let's make sure the Timberwolves still don't have Mike Conley. And no, they do not, boys. Mike Conley has been traded. Thank you. Thank you, Fanspo. Vucevic actually shouldn't be on here either, but that's okay. Well, I think it was a 1-for-1 salary. So again, this would be Colby White. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold up. We got a notification. Hold up. James Harden. We got some breaking news. It is not a report, but from Brian Windhorst, the James Harden and Darius Garland are expected to be traded for each other. That's insane. As we're finishing up today's episode here, just trying to see if we could get Minnesota get both of these players. So Giannis would go over to the Timberwolves. Colby White would go over to the Timberwolves. And in order for this all to work, Julius Randle would have to go over to the Bucks. So would Naz Reid. So he would go to the Bucks as well. And then Rob Dillingham would go to the Bucks. And I think that works financially for the Bucks. Okay. And then again, Terrence Shannon goes to the Bulls because that's who they want. And then we just need to get rid of $4 million. $4 million, and this works. So who is this? Who does this go? Can we give $4 million? We got to get rid of $4 million. The Timberwolves need to get rid of $4 million. It's Baron J. I don't want to do that. Can we do I don't want to do Jalen Clark. This maybe we. No, I don't think so. I think. Or what about? I mean, we're trying an insane trade here to end the day. The Hornets have expressed interest in somebody by the name of Rudy Gobert. So say Gobert then goes over to the Hornets. We're just trying to, complete everything. We would need a center. And in this situation, Brendan Miller comes over here to the Bulls. No, to the Timberwolves. And I think this all works. Give me Brendan Miller. Give me someone else. We need somebody else. I don't know who we want. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not a Rudy Gobert here. Let's get rid of the Hornets. But for this, we have to get rid of $4 million. I'm trying to keep Jaden. I'm trying to keep Dante. I'm trying to keep Rudy. I'm trying to keep Ant-Man. Baron J is a keep. Bones, I think, is a keep. Man, this kind of hurts. So I don't know if we can do it fully here with the Bucks, unfortunately. But for this, we would just have to get rid of $9 million more. So it'd be like a DiVincenzo. So it'd be DiVincenzo and Colby White. DiVincenzo and Shannon for Colby White. You would have to give us something else, though. You would have to give us your first-round pick and maybe even a second-round pick here in 2028 and a second-round pick. To DiVincenzo is so important. This would work. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But, hey, Brian Windhorst, thank you for letting me know about that. That's super cool to know that he is that James Harden and Darius Garland are expected to be traded for each other. Yeah, I think James Harden is going to be done with the Clippers. I think Darius Garland's done with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we're going to do this. We're going to do this again on Thursday, but it's actually going to be live. So that kind of leads right into. Thank you guys so much for watching. Coming up later this next week here, live reaction to the NBA trade deadline. We're going to be live for about 2 hours, giving you my opinions, my reactions to trades that come in. By the way, if the Timberwolves do make a big trade for like a Giannis, we will go live as soon as possible. But live reaction to the NBA trade deadline will be coming out on that Thursday, February 5th, live, 2:30, sorry, 1:30 to 3:30 Central Standard Time, I believe, with the trade deadline being at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. So we'll be live for about half an hour before the deadline. We'll kind of recap all these trades that happen and stuff like that, or something like that. You can find it all out. It's all out on my YouTube channel. So go ahead, just turn the notification bell button on, hit this like button on this video, and go hit the like button over there as well. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching. And then also coming up the rest of the show, the week, we got a Super Bowl show, NFL Weekly show coming out on Thursday as well. We got a weekly rebuild where so if you guys have been a part of this channel, every Saturday we do a gaming 5-year rebuild where you guys get to vote for which game. So go ahead, check it out on my polls section in my YouTube channel. You can go vote for which game you want me to do a 5-year rebuild with. Madden has one every single week, but you can vote for Madden, NBA, NHL, or MLB this show. We got also another Kingdom Competitors coming out. This one's going to be on Dan Orlovsky, coming out on Sunday. If you haven't seen the Tony Dungy one or any of the other Kingdom Competitors, go check that out. It's on my YouTube channel. We got another weekly episode coming out on Tuesday, a week from now, on the 10th of February. And I'm also trying to do almost daily shorts, either challenges or just my opinions to things. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to keep God first, because He's the most important thing in your lives. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.